particularly with all these criminal charges, the more that even Republicans that don't like him have gone, you know what, it is a witch hunt. The Liberals are trying to nail up this guy. He's one of us. We're going to back him. A bit like the Russian collusion thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think the interesting thing is if you're going to use language like, you know, this is going to be the end of democracy as we know it, then there needs to be a sense of urgency. Like you said, when is the ground game going to start?
He also said to you on your show, which again made headlines, make a lot of headlines. Jealous. But he said, if you're black, you don't vote for me, you're not black. He meant it as a joke. But what did you think when he said that? Was that a sense of entitlement, a bit of arrogance about the African-American vote?
What is good, Joe? It's your boy Rashad. We back again with the Black Anomaly Rising channel. So we got to do a reaction video today. So Piers Morgan. I've done at least one video, maybe more than one video, Piers Morgan. So popular British commentator. He went on the Breakfast Club with Charlamagne, the God, who I've also done multiple videos on this channel. And this is an interesting video because the Piers Morgan calls out Charlamagne directly on Trump derangement syndrome. And to be honest with you, it is literally the definition of the pot calling the kettle black, because Piers Morgan absolutely has Trump derangement syndrome himself. There's even some things that I don't know if it's going to be included because obviously this has to be chopped up for the sake of not getting copyright claims and stuff. But this is definitely, there's some things that Piers Morgan believes that are not true, like Donald Trump wanted to get rid of the Constitution. Like, a lot of people keep peddling this lie, but nobody's actually asked Donald Trump to clarify. They basically went off of a tweet, and they're trying to, like, reword what his tweet actually meant. Donald Trump was saying this is the Constitution in of itself is being ripped to shreds, and they took it some kind of way to mean that Donald Trump said he wanted to rip up the Constitution. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, why does, okay, if somebody says something that you feel like is outlandish on a tweet, and then the media runs with it, but nobody comes back and they ask you about it, I don't understand why people, like, believe just, okay, anyway, irrespective of that, I'm gonna go ahead and react to this video. And it is kind of funny because Piers Morgan actually does have some good sense some of the time, and this video kind of proves that. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Back to, you take away all the rhetoric, actually judge him on what he did. He didn't take America into any wars. That's a big plus to me. Big plus. Right? He had interesting relations with traditional American enemies. North Korea, China, Russia, right?
Which by the way, he's consistently demonized for not just constantly coming out and saying these are the worst people ever. What actually happens is majority of politicians come out and say all of these negative things about all of these people because they're playing stupid politics, and then it ends up actually getting our own country in trouble because we don't have good diplomacy with these countries. Instead, because Trump knows how to do and participate in actual decorum with other nations, all of a sudden they act like, oh, he's fraternizing with dictators. It's like, what the heck are these people talking about? We can't just go over there and just take over their country. Like, we have to, by definition, work with them because they're sovereign nations. We have to. If we tick them off, then we're not going to be working with anybody. Let's keep going.
Did that help or hinder American interest? Would Vladimir Putin have invaded Ukraine if Trump had still been president? I don't know the answer.
Of course not.
But he had an interesting way of going about relationships with these people, which America has traditionally been very hostile towards. Trump has these sort of, you know, he has these instincts.
If Trump gets
sometimes he's right, sometimes he's wrong, right? But I don't think it's as straightforward as he's Hitler or he's an angel. He's somewhere in the middle.
Hitler didn't start off Hitler either. I'm sure you read
but
The Fall of the Third
Trump
Reich
is never
before.
going to kill 12 million people. I can guarantee you. He's not going to do that.
I don't think anybody thought that about Hitler either in the beginning.
Well, he showed a lot more sign of it than Trump. But I think the idea of equating someone like Trump to Hitler is stupid. Again, it comes back to that.
I mean, absolutely. Why? That's peak. That's just what I call peak Trump derangement syndrome. If you want to invoke Hitler's name to describe Donald Trump, a person who literally hasn't killed anyone or hasn't even ordered the destruction of anyone with the exception of maybe some terrorists, right? So this is not the guy who they're painting him to be. Of course, they're going to like the most extreme, far off the cliff direction that they possibly can when describing Trump. And I feel like it's become, at this point, it's become comical. It's become more of a joke in a lot of independents' minds, and kind of pushes us further and further, really more so into the Republican Party from a standpoint of being independent, because it's like you see all of the left-wing media bias, you see all the Trump derangement syndrome, you see his words constantly getting twisted around and just changed and modified into something that he never said, different things that happened. They're rewriting history in terms of what actually happened, in terms of anything as related to the election, as related to J6, just as it relates to Trump as a person in general, his general behavior and mannerisms and the things that he says, they're recharacterizing everything. It's like, oh, Hitler said some of those words before. In what language? German? Because he sure wasn't speaking in English. There's a lot of different words. If you comb through every single thing, then you might find one or two words that sound similar, but that's because that's what they're looking for. You know, if nobody had pointed that out, nobody would even know. Like, an average American would not even know nor care about some of the things that Trump said, and they're trying to act like, oh, this is similar to stuff that Hitler said. And I'm like, but if you actually read the direct quotes, they're not even that close of quotes. These people are lying because they know nobody's going to go back and fact check them. Let's keep going.
How many illegal immigrants, did Barack Obama deport in his 8 years as president?
Oh, I don't know.
Have a guess.
No clue.
No clue. Interesting, right? You don't know.
I mean, I know it was a lot, but I don't know the exact number.
Have a guess.
Oh, I don't know.
Give me a number.
I actually have read that it's more than Trump.
Give me a number.
I really don't know.
Yes. 8 years. 8 years. How many?
I don't know.
He don't want to
many
look super wrong. He don't even want to answer the question.
Have deported in 8 years?
I have no idea.
Well, give me a number.
But I've read that it was more
the
than
answer
Trump.
is over 3 million.
Damn.
He was known as deporter-in-chief by Mexicans.
Yes. And that was more than Trump did.
He deported way more than Trump.
I
He
read
deported way more pro rata than any president in history. I know that the general thing is Obama, angel, Trump, devil.
Right.
But if you actually apply the scrutiny that we give Trump, put it this way, if Trump had deported 3 million people, you think you guys wouldn't know that answer? Of course you would.
Exactly. Of course they would. I mean, this is the whole thing with Trump. One of the biggest differences with Trump is, do I think that he is smooth as Obama? No. I mean, Obama is kind of like on a very high level in terms of, you know, the way that he says things, which I think, in my opinion, is the main reason he got elected. Certainly wasn't based off of his like really awesome and great experience, right? Like, but then again, Trump had even less experience than Obama did in terms of government, right? So take that for what you will. But is Trump as smooth? No. However, the thing about Donald Trump is that he has so much left-wing media bias against him. Obama had the media for him, so they covered for him constantly. They pretty much had like one network that was against Obama. This was Fox News, and everybody else was just constantly just singing him praises and licking on his you-know-what, basically. Whereas when it comes to Trump, you got the majority of the media in the United States is this totally left-wing media bias. So these people have been just hammering Donald Trump and literally, in some cases, making up entire stories like Russia collusion. Made up story, peddled for years, no accountability. Still out here complaining, well, nobody listens to the mainstream media. Why are people not respect us anymore? Like, yes, because you lie. Why would anybody respect a liar? Let's keep going.
If Trump had deported 3 million people, you think you guys wouldn't know that answer? Of course you would, right? Nobody knows that answer because nobody thought that way about Saint Barack. And I think that he wasn't Saint Barack and Trump isn't the devil. Trump has a more devilish way of talking and he has to be held absolutely to account. And it's a very good argument to say after what happened on January the 6th, he shouldn't be allowed to run again. But he is allowed to run again. All I see now is the Democrats whining about Trump's comeback. One of the reasons he's soaring back is because there's such a perceived weakness in Biden. Biden's approval ratings are shocking.
Democrats suck.
Shocking.
That's
right?
terrible.
No incumbent
That's why.
president, I think, has ever been re-elected with these approval numbers. So this, if the country, most people in America think the country's going the wrong way. Most of them are feeling economic hardships. Most of them, have all sorts of problems with the way the country's being run.
Yeah, and guess what's happening? The Democrats are ignoring everything that anyone says. They're putting their head in the sand and literally just lying and pretending like everything's cool. And it's making me freaking mad. It's ticking off a heck of a lot of dang people. We're tired of it. Donald Trump is actually telling the truth about what's happening with the country. Democrats, politicians are literally lying to everyone's face about what's happening in the country. Be it illegal immigration, be it the economy, anything you could think of, Democrats are lying about it all. I don't think that there's a single thing that they're telling the truth about. Like, they're lying about what's going to end up happening with a war in Ukraine, which Russia's going to win. They're capping for Israel constantly and like doing this weird flip-flop between Israel and Gaza. They're lying about illegal immigration and have consistently tried to pretend as though there was nothing going wrong. They sued Texas so that Texas can't protect their own border. And Texas, for some reason, ended up losing the lawsuit, which is insane. And then on top of that, they're lying about the economy. Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House press secretary, lies about this almost every day. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Karine Jean-Pierre, and all their little flackies and all the shills keep lying about all of this stuff. These people are crooks. They're criminals. They're evil. Let's wrap up here.
And they think back to Trump, and they think for all the garbage that comes out of his mouth, they look at the way he handled the economy until the pandemic, and they think, actually, we were better off under Trump. They look at his foreign policy, and they think, actually, we didn't start poking our nose in all over the place with wars here, left, right, and center. And they like that, most Americans I've spoken to. They think he took immigration a lot more seriously, for example, than Biden seems to do. The situation on the southern border is catastrophic.
Everything you're saying is absolutely right.
So you know what you're getting. You know what you're voting for this time. If America votes him in again, it's because they want to.
That's a fact. Yeah.
Right? You can't get away from that.
That's right.
And by the way, his popularity amongst African Americans is rising as Biden's falls. That's incredible. I remember when Biden came on this show, right? And he started.
Yeah, with you.
And he started saying, if you don't vote for me, then you're not black. All right, it was a stupid joke. What a stupid thing to say. And actually, how ironic that ever since he said it, the kind of black votes disappeared from him, right?
Is there a candidate that could beat him? Do you think
this is just, it's hilarious that he called him out. So, for those who don't know, actually, Piers Morgan has actually called out Charlamagne on this numerous times. So this is just, I think he's never called him out on his show. I don't even think Piers Morgan has been on The Breakfast Club previously. But it is hilarious that not only he calls him out on Piers Morgan Uncensored, he's also called him out now on The Breakfast Club as well. And really, Joe Biden should be ashamed of himself, of course, for this. Charlamagne should be ashamed of himself because really, I feel like a lot of this stuff just makes him look like a complete fool. Like Kamala Harris was digging up his booty. Joe Biden made him look foolish. And Piers Morgan's making him look foolish too because he's pointing out the Trump derangement. And now, in my opinion, I don't think he's pointing it out well enough. Because, again, there's so many things that people have tried to say. I've actually looked over every single thing that people have said that Trump has done. And there is an answer for everything. And it's not just stuff that's made up. It actually makes logical sense. Like, it doesn't make sense for anybody to say Trump wants to get rid of the Constitution. He's always constantly talking about his love and support for the Constitution. It doesn't make any sense to pull up a tweet and then misread the tweet about the Constitution and then try to act like, well, he said he wanted to destroy the Constitution. I'm like, that's what the heck? How did you get to this conclusion? How? This is classic. It's literal brainwash. This left-wing media bias is just totally taking over. The Trump derangement is off the charts. These people's minds are warped. And the sad thing is, I don't think a lot of people get it. It doesn't, considering the state of the nation and how bad it is currently, the fact that people still are trying to act like Donald Trump is a big threat to democracy. Charlamagne and Piers Morgan, another part of this video, acknowledged that the Democrats basically are trying to call Donald Trump a threat to democracy, but at the same time are literally canceling democracy themselves. Take a look.
And they tried to take control and, in their eyes, stop democracy happening. Now, the liberal response, by the way, which is to classic liberal response, which is completely half-assed, which is to say, right, let's take him off the ballot now in loads of different states, is obviously stupid.
Right,
because
that is the rocket fuel.
You don't try and stop a guy you think has tried to thwart democracy by thwarting democracy. No, because, of course, they were tremendous numbers.
Well, we'll never know because the Democrats don't want to do a primary,
right?
Which is also not democracy.
But, so if you know that this is happening, why do you keep calling Donald Trump the threat to democracy? It's like you know that your people that you support are also threatening democracy. You know that for a fact, but you're also saying Trump is doing it. So it's like, well, who's the threat to democracy? Is it Donald Trump? Is it Republicans? Or is it Democrats? Which one? Like, you can't just say, well, it's okay when the Democrats do it, but hey, I don't like the fact that we feel like Trump is doing it, which I don't agree that Trump is doing it at all, but the Democrats are definitely doing it. Like, no primaries, removing people from the ballots, a bunch of indictments with no evidence. I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. None of this stuff makes any sense, but we want, I mean, all of this witch hunt stuff going on, and then we want to keep, they comparing them to Hitler. Whoopi Goldberg the other day was talking about camps, and then you're going to sit up here and try to pretend as though the Democrats are being fair or something. That doesn't make any sense, and that they're going to save us. They had a couple years, they had 3 years going on 4, and they've been doing a effing terrible job so far. Terrible. They had an opportunity to prove that the Republicans were wrong and the Democrats were right, and they failed miserably. Instead, all you got is a bunch of freaking illegal immigrants coming into the nation. You got a floundering economy that the Democrats want to consistently lie about. And then you have a freaking old man who's literally falling apart. This dude literally seems like he could freaking evaporate at any second. Okay, just turn to literal just dust just at any moment. And then we're trying to sit up here and act like, oh, Donald Trump is going to be the worst thing ever when everything was doing well for him and for the nation during the whole time he was president. Everything was fine. Are we going to sit up here and lie and act like the economy wasn't fine until the C virus hit? I mean, there's so many facts that I'm not even going to go into all the facts because it's not even worth going into everything that was going well during the Trump administration. Even the most Trump deranged people know that things were going well during the Trump administration. The only thing that wasn't going well is up here in their mind. These people got some screws loose. Donald Trump just got under the skin so much. It's like talking to a divorcee about their ex. You cannot do that objectively. Them people have lost it. They're spent on that individual. It doesn't matter what the actual facts and truth is. It don't matter. They hate them. It doesn't matter anymore. And this is how I think people are with Trump. They just got so much hatred because the media has made him look like such a freaking demon. And they keep making these ridiculous Hitler comparisons that these people just cannot get over it. It's become a religion. Trump derangement syndrome has become a religion in these people's minds and is poisoning them enough to where they're willing to not only destroy themselves, but the country along with it just because of being brainwashed. It's very sad and pathetic. And Charlamagne, I don't know how many different times he's got to see these examples in order to get his mind right. But Charlamagne, you need to wake up, brother. Wake up. I'm tell you like Cenk Uygur said.
Democrats, wake up! Wake up!
Listen to Cenk. Don't be foolish. Otherwise, it's going to cost us all in the end. This country will be destroyed if we keep going down the path that we're going. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate you watching the Black Anomaly Rising channel. I'm out.
But I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.